and welcome to Loriander. This is the show after the show about the show, unless you're watching before the show in the future. It's very confusing. But welcome, my name is Pods, and I'm going to host a little talkback about the last episode. So let's say hello to the cast. Joe, how are you?
Everything didn't explode. So, frankly, that's a good day.
Were you afraid of it exploding?
I'm never not afraid of it exploding, but I was no more afraid of it exploding. I don't know. I feel good. I feel like everybody was great today. I feel like everyone worked well today. I feel like we're really finding our groove here on episode 3. So I'm happy and things didn't explode.
Yeah, I think the tension is building and it's fun. Like when we think about this being an episodic arc, it's definitely getting up there. Let's check in with Abhora. How are you?
I'm doing great, aside from this headset squeezing my skull, and I can't quite figure out where it should go without just giving me a tension headache. But other than that, I've been having a blast here.
That always is a struggle. Is it a new headset?
I think so. I only wear it for these things and occasionally other stuff. So it's gonna just need to be squished in, I think.
I guess we'll check in with you later and see if that affected any of your decision making tonight.
And my brain
Give me a headset check on the runner show for the next couple of episodes.
got my brain squished.
Matt, how are you doing?
I am doing quite well. I'm very, very excited. I feel like I'm in this state where a lot of things that were building up and were on my plate have slowly but surely made themselves away to where I can really focus in on Coriander for the not that I haven't been focused on Coriander, but I really like to get into it with the note taking and figuring things out, both on a perspective of helping Joe come up with stuff and also trying to figure out exactly what he's doing when I'm not involved. And that really, really gets me going on this. So it's exciting to be able to dig back in a way that I've mostly just been enjoying and coasting. And I'm looking forward to really delving back into it.
I feel that, and I am so happy for you that you get to chill.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm also like debating, like, do I ask you about your good news?
Oh no, not yet. Technically, I don't
Okay.
think I don't think they'd find this place. But if they did, I'm not allowed yet. But next time, I think I'm hoping.
Secrets chat. Come back next week.
Secret.
My good news is I have been in the process of getting a tiny house, and we got electricity today.
Woo!
So pretty soon we're going to be able to move in.
Let's go.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and then you won't see this one behind me when we stream.
Do you have like a corner picked out for where your stuff is going to go?
We have 2 separate offices. So
For a tiny house?
I know.
Seems like a lot of rooms.
There definitely is a lot of room for a tiny, but it is still very small. So I am going to be like cramped up in there, but I'm so excited. Probably not next week, but the week after, maybe. I will be in the tiny.
I've seen the tiny, and
That's
it's a
so
very
soon.
compartmentalized tiny. Like it's like you look at it and go, "That's not that tiny," and then you go, "Oh yeah, it really is," but also it's really not.
Yeah, it utilizes space really well. So I know, chat. You guys like to see Rose. Maybe we'll set up like a Rose cam.
During breaks,
Okay.
just have it like pointed directly at his face.
Oh, there it is.
Let's jump into the episode. Let's start with like a general question, and I'll go around the room. The question is, what was your favorite moment from this episode, and why? Let's start with Abhora.
I think it was Dynamite when when Agamemnon was pointing in our direction, and then he said, "Follow the footprints," and then you did that Scooby-Doo thing where there's just like footprints everywhere, and ooh.
That was
Okay.
great. Matt, do you want to talk about that?
It's not just that moment, but a lot really kind of came up. But specifically for that one, it really felt like that was the apex of just Bombay. She was as Arangol going like, and here's my next trap. All right. And I'm like, oh, and then I'm going to counter with this. Oh, yeah, but then I counter with this. Oh, yeah, but then I have this. Like, it really felt like we were playing a card game, and we had all the field laid down with all these trap cards and all these face down cards. No one knew what they had. And then as we started revealing, we're like, okay, that's the kind of deck you're playing. That's the way this is going to go down. And we kept pulling something out of left field, and the dice would go a certain way. And it was just one of those magical moments that, yes, you literally could craft it out, but it's so much better that it just happened spur of the moment. And it was that perfect marriage of just hilarity and mechanics that just came into this beautiful moment. It was great.
It was really great, and I think Joe kind of hit the nail on the head when he said it was like Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
You're playing like a control deck that just have answers to everything. Joe, was it like, did it feel good knowing that it wasn't happening to you? Because it was happening to Bombay.
Okay, yes. For a couple of reasons. First off, because those who don't transform their pain transmit their pain. And having somebody else just be like, what is all this BS that he can pull? That felt reaffirming. It felt like validating. It felt validating.
Now you know what goes on in my brain.
But the other thing is the fact that it was Bombay being like, "Grr!" made it feel real. Like when I play the villains, I try to always bring them to life and stuff. But this wasn't just like, you know, me holding in my head the simultaneous with you against you telling the story. This was a straight up chess game, and Bombay's response was organic and authentic, and it just made it so much better. I'm not taking like delight in Bombay's suffering. It's more that just from a storytelling acting perspective, it was so good. That's what I love about tabletop, is that things happen and they feel real. Like I didn't write that; it happened.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting to have that moment that I'm sure a lot of people in chat can relate to. It's outside of the game. It's like as a player, your frustration, which is really cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a note here to talk about like the cat and mouse game that Erangel and John were playing. We kind of touched on that. Is there anything else you wanted to say there?
The best part of it is the fact that they're both super intelligent. And so when one of them says what, like, when they're doing things that are almost metagamey, they're not, because in character, their characters are that smart and they would actually know. That's the best.
That's true. Yeah. Something we have to be careful about is like, okay, I would not know that. Like my character would not know that, but I know that as Janessa. But like you said, they're both really smart. They would figure it out with their checks. Matt, can you have some questions listed here about some of that back and forth with other characters. Can you touch on that? The Erangel versus Captain Flig.
Oh, well, so there it was this really funny marriage that Arangel had between, are they helping us or are they hindering us? At one point, you had actually messaged me. You DM'd me during the game where you were like, excuse me? Like, are they trying to help or are they trying to hurt? What is happening? And to be honest, like, you know, mid-game, I'm like, you know, John would have an idea about this. And Matt also has an idea about this. And to be honest, I think it's one of those things where I can't necessarily speak for Bombay, but I think the way that she's playing it is that Arangol is absolutely curious about these beings that have shown up in their domain. And while, yes, they want to ensure that they know what exactly is happening here, they do want to capture us. They do want us to be brought in alive because they want to find out who we are, what makes us so interesting, why are we even here in the first place? But there's this weird combination because, again, it is a game where would this, and again, we don't know the backstory, why the Solithrid is the way they are, but would they actually have their curiosity get over their, this is the culmination of their plans, the war is about to happen, and can they really stand to get involved in this game of cat and mouse? Can they stand to try to have this weird scheme that they're trying to pull on Captain Flig in order to use them as a cat's paw during this entire exchange? Or are they've been getting played by Captain Flig? Captain Flig is this character that is almost like, you know, there's that meme where someone's riding a bike and then they put that stick right in the wheel and they go flying off and like, and it's like, how do you react to a character like that? Every single time you think that Captain Flig's going to go one way, they juke to another. And sometimes it looks like madness, but really, is this like a big scheme or machination in order to avoid this mind melding detection? In order, like, we have a character that can go into your brain and figure out exactly what you're doing. But if you don't know what you're doing, how are they ever going to perceive what your action is until you actually get there? So really, are they crazy or are they a genius? And is this crazy character that is supposed to be in charge of running an entire Drow city, they're the lion themselves and they're also in the lion's den. One wrong move, and we're already seeing in the background, these Drow are ready to try to dispatch this character. All the while, they're trying to work with them. It's this amazing marriage of, I feel like this episode could be just called Cat and Mouse because there's so many different interactions where it seems like the character, even just now, Joe, you were talking about how you kind of felt bad for Bombay with like, this ended up happening. But really, they were the one who was pushing the action. We were reacting to everything they were doing, and they weren't in any danger in the slightest. There was nothing bad that happened to them. It just so happens that some of their ploys didn't go through the way they had hoped. But this whole time, there's not one character who is the actual danger or is the actual pawn. We even came to find that the Chitons themselves are master schemers, and they have more going on than just being tiny little pawns in this giant cog of getting worked over by the Drow. Every single, it's like a circle, where everything comes back around again. So that's how I feel about that.
So what do you think, Abhora? Is it madness or is it whatever this word is, machination? Does anyone know what that word means? I don't.
You got it right.
Right, big words.
I do like the
it's the alliteration.
I do like the ambivalence, but I think you're giving Flig too much credit. When I'm making decisions on how to react to things, I mainly take the route of ignorance, and I do that a lot when I'm role playing. Is I think what would my character do with a limited set of knowledge? And it is a little bit metagamey, but sometimes I'll lean into that ignorance if I know that it can kind of fuck with somebody who's trying to manipulate me. So it's hard to say if it's like a bigger plot or a ploy, but in the moment, I think I always side with ignorance. When I'm role playing, not in the real world.
That's a good caveat.
Mm-hmm.
My light does not want to work. I'm
We all have
distracted.
days like that.
And when you were riling up the group with your demagoguery, I was like, Don't pull from the Hitler handbook. Don't do okay, I cast scapegoat the minority.
Yeah, that stuff is always like really difficult to just not accidentally go there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just like we should get together and eliminate this group of people. It would solve
Of all our
everything.
problems.
Yeah.
You know, it's tricky because the lore surrounding the Drow has its own complicated history of, you know, just being they're designated evil. The entire culture is evil. And Wizards of the Coast has been deliberately changing 30 years of lore over time to get away from that. And I've always tried to make it clear that what's happening is there's this goddess and she's an asshole and she is like deliberately imposing this sort of culture. But there's also a bunch of stuff about like slavery in their backstory, and I try really hard to just not do that in my stories.
Yeah.
But when you're approaching evil, class divides and oppression and exploitation are pretty universal, and so it's hard to be like, how can I portray this society that is exploitative and cruel and harsh without just, you know, dressing up. You know, like we should be able, like I want to talk about colonialism, but I don't also want to parade real life trauma around for our game. Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's a tricky balance.
It is tricky because we don't want to whitewash anything either. We want to keep history with all of its blemishes, and but you know, we're also just playing a game.
Right. This is a fictional universe, and in my fictional universe, there's some things that's like, you know what? Yeah, evil people would probably be these types of evil, but what if we could just not deal with that here because this is a fantasy and we didn't roll up for this.
There are so many types of conflict and aggression out there. We can pick and choose the ones we want to put on display.
Like being sacrificed to an evil goddess.
That's right. A second time.
Speaking of the goddess, we met the three mothers in this episode. And so we have a question here. Are they going to attempt a coup to unseat the Drow?
So the backstory of the Chaitin is that they were originally created by the Drow. Using Lolth's magic, mutating spiders and stuff like that. But when they created them, Lolth is super controlling and super selfish, and she wants the Drow to constantly backstab each other and make each other's lives miserable. Like the fact that you folks arrived and it's just schemes within schemes and everybody's scheming, Lolth likes that. Lolth encourages that. Lolth rewards that behavior. So when the Drow created the Chaitin, they didn't, in Lolth's mind, they did it for themselves and not for her. They failed to pay her sufficient tribute and adoration and tell her how wonderful and magical she is. So she made it so that the Chaitin are loyal to her, not to the Drow. And that sometimes leads them into conflict. And there is an evolved form of the Chaitin that the Drow did not create called a Choldrith. And the three mothers are Choldriths. They form the hub of a hive mind, and whenever the Drow find them, they kill them. Because under their leadership, the Chaitin don't just obey the Drow, they're like, we're actually the chosen of Lolth, so we're going to kill all of you. So I think I lost the thread a little bit, but I also think I answered the question.
Yeah.
It also is
very
very
Joe of you.
complicated. And you guys know I'm the best at lore. That's sarcasm. Because I could not remember the Elven King.
That's fine though.
And you did.
I mean, I just need that spark of like, oh, okay, that's what we're talking about.
That's why I asked, like, is this Asena or is this Janessa? Because I can work.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're like, what is happening?
I love
And
that.
we had a whole thing about that. Can't you tell? Can't you tell if it's Asena or Janessa?
What were you saying, Abhora?
We're totally different.
I love that you guys meet so many kings. It's like, this is the king of that. This is the king of bread. This is the king of water. This is the This is the king of old-timey England. This is the king of New
Space
England.
Time England. Yeah, exactly.
The king of New England. Yo, hey. I'm the king of New England over
They
here.
call me the Patriot.
Oh, I hope my wife isn't watching.
I'm the king of clam chowder. Hey. It's chowder.
You know, something that I mentioned to Matt on the side was I was like, is Captain Flig from Earth?
Yes, I was hoping you were going to bring that up.
Captain Flib just like brings up a lot of stuff that John would know. But
Yeah, this
we
is
don't
exactly the
know.
kind of stuff that that you deal with when I bring it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, what's a clam chowder?
It's
Matt was
great.
theorizing that if you were either from Earth or under the influence of Earth. I don't know if you've given that thought at all.
I do these little one-off call outs to just kind of be entertaining, but I guess to give that more flesh to it, I guess it could be one of those things where growing up in deep space, you don't have a lot of entertainment except maybe like old footage from TV waves just kind of leaking out into the universe, and you don't have the latest technology, so all you really have is a TV antenna and
Okay, so this world, the world of Pyre Space, it's all just post-medieval, right? It's this Renaissance, black powder, Pirates of the Caribbean, a little bit before that tech, but with magic, right? But we have this technology of this sci-fi ancient civilization from 10,000 years ago that wasn't necessarily powered by magic. Everyone just has muskets right now and magic, but they had lasers and spaceships that weren't flying boats, sailing ships and stuff. So it is entirely possible that Captain Flig found a piece of ancient technology that wasn't supposed to be a TV, but functioned as a TV and functioned on a trans-dimensional wavelength.
There you go.
Could have come from Lacunas. Ashen has Lacunas tech.
Absolutely.
I also love that because John has shown Asana episodes of Scooby-Doo. So
Yep.
it's kind of in the same realm. The shows are leaking out.
Actually, if you go back through the Coriander thread on our Discord, by the way, sign up for our Discord to check out all of our amazing shows and things that we have going on. I dropped all of the different episodes that John has shown Asana. I believe there was 18 of them.
That's dedication.
I have to go watch those now and like do character research.
In real life. Speaking of Janessa doing research, I think we should touch on a memorable moment. This entire arc, but especially in this episode, Asana, you had a chance where rather than just walking up and just punching the bad guys, you were actually investigating and interrogating who you came upon. You had a chance of just jumping them and just starting this big old fight with a bunch of your allies, and instead you took the path of least resistance. What was that like? What getting you to that point? We've seen Asana go through a lot of changes over the course of the last 100+ episodes, and we've been seeing over the last, I think, the last couple dozen, this slow shift from just beating people's heads into taking a different avenue of it. Do you think that your pact with the angel Oriel is the main reason for that change?
Yes, I do, because Oriel's really hot, and I want to keep my angel patron happy with me, but in like a less in a bigger sense. Asana is still thinking about that first episode where she killed the drow, and worried about the consequences of that. So like on the surface level, she's worried about the consequences from the angel Oriel, but because she betrayed this pact that she made him, which was like she's not going to hurt people unharmlessly. And she could probably get out of it because they attacked first, or, you know, I think she can talk her way out of it. But I think on a deeper level, yeah, she's questioning it. Like, maybe this isn't the best way to go about things as we're going through other people's universes. We can't just sort of stampede through them and ruin the lives of everyone that's here. So it was really challenging for me as a player to figure out, how am I going to do this? Because my safety blanket is always, I'm just going to punch them and kill them. So I really had to think creatively. And my first idea was like, I'm going to get like a tree and I'm going to like knock a tree on them. So that way it's like not a Sena, but like maybe they run away, but then there was no trees.
There's no trees in this cave.
Yeah. Why would there be trees in a cave? So that was the whole like stalagmite sort of thinking. But another influence was also, I have been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, and I think everyone has. And in that game, I don't fight people. I just talk my way out of everything because I'm like, I want you to join my party and I want you to be friends with me. So that's really changed my mindset on like how I can get through these situations.
That's absolutely incredible. And it's been amazing to see that shift, because even though finding imaginative and amazing ways to beat the crap out of people is fun, I feel like seeing this character that has been given a enormous mace, and instead of choosing to crush people with it, they instead use it as like a crutch or a prop in order to find other ways to get through an adventure. That's even more intriguing and engaging. So it's been a lot of fun to watch you navigate that.
Can I just add?
And I don't. Yeah.
That I love how you like talked your way into this, and then as you're having a conversation with them, you're like, wow, these are some evil freaking demons. Like, these are not nice people. That just
of all the people that Asena could have spared, like maybe these weren't the right ones.
Literal demons.
Also, can I just add that in the time it took us to have this one point of our conversation, chat already found those of us as Scooby-Doo, and they've added you in the Discord. So
oh my gosh.
You don't have any excuses now.
Yeah, they're like, go watch this, Scooby-Doo.
Oh, man.
Okay, on a bit of a lighter note, let's talk about Captain Flip's song. Where did that come from? That was amazing.
It was a combination of I had just watched the episode of The Simpsons with the courtesan house, and they try to demolish it, but then Homer goes into song about saving it, and I was using kind of that melody as like the bass, and then just thinking of rhymes, and then just sort of hoping that would
you
save
stuck the landing.
But yeah, just I knew that these Disney songs usually end on like a downbeat, and there's always like a duality, like how in Pocahontas there's that line, you can own the earth and all you'll own is earth until you can paint with all the colors of the wind. It's such a dubious line because it talks about earth as like a whole planet, and then it talks about earth as just dirt. And I wanted to come up with a thing about sharing that's also like that, but I couldn't think of something so profound in like 2 minutes. I'm not Sondheim, is what I'm saying.
You did good for 2 minutes. You 100% did good for 2 minutes.
I knew I wanted to get that last triple threat, and I kind of shoehorned. I knew I was going to use singing as like a way to negotiate something, but
and of course you got the natural 20. Like
that was luck. That was I would have been devastated if
it was fate.
I would have been devastated if that would have not even critical fail, if it was just like mid and everyone went
well.
Nah, Okay.
Anyways,
okay, we see
back
what
to-
you're doing. Back to killing you.
Well, I thought it was really great. Even if you only had 2 minutes, it was fantastic. And now we need a little side recording of the song for people to listen to. No.
Yeah, about not stabbing people. And
Yeah.
you
Let's all
could
be friends.
stab your way to the Quickie Marsh and nobody would care.
Okay. Let's wrap this episode up. Joe, can you give us a recap so that way we can play that at the beginning of our next episode?
Okay, if I made a recap button. All right, here we go. In episode 3, oh no, hang on, I have to fix the text. Sorry, I just, there's a lot going on, okay? It's just floating over.
Are
It's
you
like
saying
the one.
you wrote it out?
No,
You're not just
look,
coming.
on the stream, the episode 101 was cut off. It was like a Y2K bug, and we never expected to get up to triple digits.
It's okay, sir. I can take him.
Okay. In episode 3 of Shadow of the Spider Moon, Arengol dispatched the entire forces of the Drow city of Zogatha to track down John and Captain Flig, but also warned them when the enemy was along the way, curious to see how they'd respond. John, Captain Flig, and Florpnin managed to escape just barely, dodging their way past the agents of the houses of the city of Zogatha, making their way through the mushroom farms, and then at the very end, Arengol projected an image and gave away their location to everyone in the cavern, but John was able to escape by turning invisible and sending out fake footprints in all directions. Meanwhile, Asena confronted the drow who were poisoning the water and just barely managed to avoid violence when they discovered her intention to kill Arengol. The 2 Yochlol demons escorted her through the caverns, talking with her about her homeworld and explaining that the drow had become complacent and must be punished by Lolth. Captain Flig broke off from the rest of the party after talking with John to go meet up and get Zarala's antidote, the mysterious meeting phrase that would allow him to find help, for Arengol had also planted this subject inside of his mind. But along the way was intercepted by Dresmorland, the drow who had escaped and was determined to bring these outsiders to meet with his master, Guildmaster Flitch. Upon arriving at Guildmaster Flitch's hideout, a pickpocket attempted to rob Captain Flig, and just as violence was about to break out, so too did song, leading to an unexpected peace. Guildmaster Flitch was impressed and brought Captain Flig in and offered to train him 3 fully equipped drow death spider ships in exchange for these 2 strange outsiders who could hold the secrets of the ancients' technology of immortality. Meanwhile, inside the caverns, both John was busy trying to stir up the Haitine peoples of the lower city, rousing them to violence against their drow oppressors. And he was so successful, he learned there was already a revolution in the works. They brought him into the inner circle, and both he and Asena arrived in the chamber of the 3 mothers, spider creatures who planned to lead the Haitine in an uprising against this drow of Zogatha. Yeah, I think that'll do.
That was great. Yeah. All right, that's it for us. Thank you all so much for watching and tuning in, and we will see you next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Goodbye. This case is closed.